from the Real Estate Show and Zone Realty LLC. Happy New Year 2024.
It's a new year. 2024 is here. Happy New Year. Is a real estate transaction in your future? It's the Real Estate Show. Welcome to the Real Estate Show. My name is Rick Naples. I'm the owner-broker of Zone Realty LLC. You zone your home. You zone your home. Why do I use that slogan? Well, basically, I'm trying to say in a very short sentence that when you do business with Zone Realty, you get the best we have to offer. You get in the zone, as they say in sports. And by using Zone or working with Zone, you're going to get through the transaction with as little worry and stress as possible. Now, I'm not saying there isn't going to be any worry or there isn't going to be any stress, because real estate transactions sometimes can be a little bit of a challenge, but you have to remember that when using Zone Realty, when you zone your home, you're going to get the best we have to offer. You're going to get the services of a realtor that's nationally recognized by the National Association of Realtors for a commitment to excellence as far as service is concerned, the ability to listen to clients as to what they need, someone who's going to put your needs first rather than trying to chase a commission check. Now, on this show, since it's the first show of 2024, I also have a short little announcement to make. We're going to change things up on this show just a little bit. Now, usually when I do the real estate show, I'll talk about whatever the subject's going to be, and then I will show a presentation. And what I mean by the presentation is that's a little video verbiage, that basically talks about what I want to convey to you, the audience, or repeats kind of in a printed form what I was talking about. And I usually do that presentation. It's a minute to a minute and a half. There have been a couple that have been a little longer, to some kind of music background. Well, we're going to make a little bit of a change on this show. Instead of a music background, we're going to have what's called a voiceover. In other words, you're going to hear my voice just basically telling you what's on the screen. Now, the reason why I've decided to do that is to just basically see how it comes off or how it's going to work. So it's going to be a little bit different. They're going to be a little bit shorter, and they're going to have my voice or maybe someone else's voice doing a voiceover. In other words, reading what's on the screen. Hopefully you'll find that not too distracting. But again, it gives me this opportunity to try something different and to also spend just a few little breaks off camera. The real estate market in 2024 is going to present some opportunities. The experts out there are saying it's the year that we're going to start to see housing prices level. We're going to see more inventory start to come on. Inventory as defined as homes that are up for sale. We're going to see more start to come on, especially as we head into the spring season, which quite honestly is not all that far away. Interest rates are coming down. What I mean by that is the mortgage rates. Right now we're trending towards 6.5%. Maybe we'll get there, maybe we'll get a bit lower. If the interest rates do come down, it might make some people find that housing is a little more affordable than what it was when the rates peaked around 8% just a little while ago. It's a big decision when you're looking to purchase a home. First of all, you have to set yourself up, right? You have to decide whether or not you're financially able to afford a home. You know, if you're a renter right now and you're paying a large rent for a 2-bedroom, 1-bath apartment or even a condo, it might be in your best interest to look at purchasing something of your own. So rather than giving that money to a landlord every single month, you're building equity or you're building wealth by owning a property yourself. There's a lot of pros and cons now. I always recommend that when you're starting to look at the possibilities of jumping into a real estate transaction, in other words, either selling the home that you have or looking to buy a new home or your first home, you spend a few minutes to talk to a professional, to talk to a realtor. Realtors are trained and they are knowledgeable about the real estate market, the real estate transaction, and how to help you navigate through all the twists and turns there may be when you're trying to go through the process. There's a lot that's involved behind the scenes that a realtor does. You know, they just don't come out and do a bunch of paperwork. Now, I could do a whole show on paperwork. You know, everything in life has paperwork, right? Everything has to be documented. Everything has to have a way to follow through, to track on things, to refer back. It's either done electronically or it's done on hard paper. I'm an old-fashioned realtor, quite honestly. I like to do everything on hard copy paper. That way we have a track record. A lot of my clients have complimented me on how I like to communicate through emails or even text as opposed to talking on the phone. This way there's a track record of what we said, how we said it, when we said it, and so on and so forth. It gives us both a comfortable level of being able to communicate or have questions answered. It also gives me time as a professional to give you the proper answer when you have a question. Now, I personally, as a broker and as a realtor, have been in the real estate industry for over 20 years. I've done a lot of transactions. I've seen a lot of things. I have a lot of experience to offer. So sometimes when a question is asked to me, either by an agent that's working for Zone Realty or working with Zone Realty, or by a client that's working with that agent or with myself, I'm usually able to answer the question or give some advice or guidance. But I'm also not afraid to say, you know, I don't know. Those are magic words in real estate. I don't know. Because sometimes the realtor doesn't know everything. The realtor sometimes has to use an affiliate or a contact that they have, whether that might be a home inspector or an appraiser or an attorney or someone along those lines, to ask specific questions that are not within the realm of their licensing. I want you to remember that phrase, not within the realm of my licensing. That's kind of a term that a realtor may use when you're having a conversation with them. If you should ask them a question that's involved with something that's legal. Even something as simple as asking your realtor, where are the property lines on this particular property? The realtor may not be able to answer that. They may know, but they may want to provide you with documentation that answers that question. Thus is the reason why I say I like to text or email, because I can attach a document to that. You don't want to go by the realtor saying, well, I think the property line's over there where they ended up stopping cutting the grass, or it's over near that big tree somewhere. You need to know where the property lines are. And you're going to actually know those by looking at the deed to the property, which is available. It is available to the public. That will give you the boundaries of the land, both on all four sides and as well as anything within that land that may be an encumbrance or may be something that encroaches on that particular property. Like, for instance, where a sewer line is, or if there's a right of way. Those things can get quite involved. You may buy a house that could be on an acre of land or 2 acres of land, and there may be houses behind it, and perhaps they have a right of way to cross across your land to get to their property. All those things, again, are viable questions that may come up in the real estate transaction. But let's talk about 2024. It's a new year. It's a new start. Have you made some New Year's resolutions? Is a resolution in your list about maybe this is the year that you're going to make a move? You're going to move to better housing. You're going to move to smaller housing, larger housing. Perhaps you need to move closer to your job, or maybe your family has increased in size and you need more space. Is this going to be the year that you are going to get into a real estate transaction? In other words, are you going to buy a house or are you going to sell your house? And should you in 2024 do that now, as you're into the early part of the year, or should you take a wait and see attitude as the year goes along? Waiting, if you're a buyer, you want to wait to see if the interest rates are going to come down a little bit lower. Or if you're a seller, maybe you're going to wait and see if there's a lot of competition out there so you can get the biggest bang for your house, in other words, the most dollars. When do you put a house on the market? When do you buy a house in 2024? Well, again, there's a national campaign that's running. There's a state campaign that's running that realtors have put together that basically say, is it a buyer's market? Is it a seller's market? No, it's a you market. And I've said for many, many, many years here on the Real Estate Show, when is the right time to sell? When is the right time to buy? It's the right time for you. That's a choice. That's a decision that you have to make. But when it comes to making that decision, because it is such a major one, you want to make sure that you have all the information that you need in front of you. You don't want to make a decision that's uninformed. Have you ever bought anything and once you've gotten it home or opened up the package or used it for the first time, had a buyer's regret? A regret that maybe I shouldn't have bought this item, or this item doesn't actually fit what I needed? Have you ever had a situation where you've sold something and after you've sold it and it's gone, a couple days later, a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, whatever it might be, you all of a sudden find that you could have used that item? I've done that over the years with furniture, where I've sold furniture that I thought I didn't need anymore. And then all of a sudden I'm in a new house or a new situation and I say, geez, it would have been nice if I kept that couch. It would have been nice if I kept that end table, or something along those lines. You want to make your decisions informed. I guess that's what I'm trying to say to you. So when you're sitting down and you're talking to a realtor to ask your questions, you also want to explore what your wants are and what your needs are. When a realtor is hired, and they go to work for you, they want to understand what it is you're looking to accomplish. They also want to share with you what's realistic. Now, I want to talk about that a little bit. Sometimes our expectations are not the reality of a situation. When it comes to purchasing or selling a home, that plays a big part. There's actually 2 different things that play a part. There's the reality of what a house is going to sell for based on the market and what buyers will pay and what the seller's expectation is. There's also the situation where you have to look at the reality of what is going on. Is it the right time for you to do this move, or are you prepared to do this move? So again, it's like I've said, you need to sit down and talk to a realtor. It's wonderful to go on the internet and look at realtor websites and look at all the different sites that are out there to look at houses, to get an idea of, what's for sale and what the prices are, and look at areas. But are you just dreaming, or are you being a realist? I'll sit down with you and I will do a wants and a needs list. A wants and a needs list is something that realtors understand. It's a way to kind of get what the client, the customer they're working with, wants or needs in the real estate transaction. In other words, if you say, I'm looking for a 3-bedroom, minimum bath and a half house on an acre lot with a 2-car garage that's under $300,000, maybe that's not realistic. Maybe a house under $300,000 may offer you the 3 bedrooms and the bath and a half, but it doesn't have the garage. Instead, it has a big shed out in the yard. So is that what you want, or is that what you need? What do you need the garage for? Is the garage to put the car in, or is the garage going to be for extra storage space? Well, maybe a shed will suffice instead of the garage. So sometimes you've got to have a little flexibility. But by doing this want and need analysis with your realtor, it gives them a great idea of what specifically you're looking for idealistically, but also realistically what you're willing to trade off. Now let's talk to sellers for a minute. When you have a conversation with your realtor, when you're going to put your house on the market, one of the things you need to talk about is how flexible you're going to be when it comes to buyers making offers and the negotiation process. What I mean by that is, if you're going to negotiate on the deal, are you going to draw a line in the sand? Are you going to say, I'm selling my house for this price and that's the only price that I'll sell it for and I'm not going to negotiate? Are you going to say, I want them to buy the house as it is, I'm not fixing nothing? Your realtor needs to know these things, because when it comes to negotiation and it comes to flexibility, if the buyer is not willing to buy a home as is, knowing that it's going to need repairs and the seller's not going to do anything, or if the buyer goes into it knowing that the seller's asking this price and they're not going to negotiate, well, maybe that buyer won't want to look at that house. Maybe that buyer will decide that's not the house that I want to negotiate and try to buy. I always try to tell sellers that you need to attract the widest range of buyers possible. And then when you get an offer on your home, you have to look at the offer from all different directions. Is it a workable offer? What does that offer entail? Has the buyer already gotten a mortgage commitment, or are they at least pre-approved for a mortgage? Who is this buyer? Do they have the monies to purchase the house? In other words, sometimes you'll get approached by someone that says, I'm buying cash, and they give you an all-cash offer. That's wonderful, but who is this person? Do they have the cash? Can they prove they have the cash? Realtors know how to navigate all of that, so that they can make sure that the buyer is qualified and the buyer has that ability to purchase your home. When it comes to a buyer purchasing a home, the buyer needs to talk to the realtor about the house. It's great to look at the data on a home. It's great to look at, what the house features, where it's located, how many bedrooms, how many baths, what the square footage is. How old is the roof? Does the basement leak? The utilities, are they up to date? Is the furnace in good condition? Does it have central air? Does it have central air? And so on and so forth. All that data is available through the realtors, through the multiple listing service, and on the listing. But then there's those questions that you're going to have that are not on the listing. What about the area? What about the neighborhood? Where can I go to find out about schools? Is the property behind me ever going to be developed. That's a big one. I've had people purchase a home because they want privacy, they love acreage, and they purchase a home surrounded by a lot of woods, and it turns out that all that surrounding woods is owned by individual property owners who, for one reason or another, in the near future or the distant future, decide to sell that land off for development. I recently saw somebody who purchased a home locally where I live that was beautiful. It was surrounded by trees. It kind of looked like a little cottage all nestled in and, tucked in around the trees. Soon after they closed, all those trees were cut down because a developer bought the land behind and is now putting up 15, 20 houses. So literally, this person now will go out in their backyard and they're on display to all those other houses. They've lost their privacy, so now they've got to figure out, how do I get that privacy back? Do I put up a fence? Do I build a wall? What do I do? When they purchased that home, they failed to ask the question of what is around me. Is there a possibility of that land being developed? So again, this is why realtors come into play. It's great if you want to do a transaction on your own. There's a misunderstanding. People think that if they do a real estate transaction on their own, I don't need an attorney and I don't need a realtor, I'm just going to buy the house on my own and negotiate on my own. What do I need them for? A lot of us realtors will use the comparison of going to court. If you're being sued, or even if you're going for a traffic violation or whatever it might be, sometimes it's best to have representation. Sometimes it's best to have an expert to guide you and answer questions to make sure that you're not making a mistake or overlooking anything. The third party involvement, as they say, is usually sometimes the best. You can be a cash buyer who's done many transactions on your own. That's fine because you have the experience. If you're a first-time buyer looking to get into real estate or do your first real estate transaction, sometimes you need to have a professional backing you up. Let's take a break.
What does 2024 hold for the real estate market? With interest rates down, is it a good time to buy or sell? And do you sell in 2024 or wait? Do you buy early or wait? Either situation presents a challenge. Buy or sell early and face low inventory. Wait till later in 2024 and face more competition. The choice is yours.
It's a new year, 2024. It's possibly, maybe, the year that you're going to jump into the real estate transaction. And I want to wish you all the best of luck. I want to share with you all the ideas that I can and all the information that I can about a real estate transaction and the real estate market. So going forward in 2024, I will continue to provide shows that give you just a little bit of information, just a little bit of insight as to what's going on. And I hope you enjoy the information and can use the information that I share with you. My name is Rick Naples. This is The Real Estate Show. I thank you very much for watching. Happy New Year.
Nick Augustino right here at the East Side Restaurant. We always have the complete full dinner menu. Knockwurst, bratwurst, sauerbraten, potato pancakes, red cabbage, rice pudding, cream pies, all the desserts that Germany had to offer. I always do something different. Yes, I do. I brought seafood to the beer garden at the Eastside Restaurant. Eastside Restaurant, your German destination restaurant in Connecticut. Tiki-taka, tiki-taka, hoi, hoi, hoi!
I'm your host, Kurt Barwis. Today, I have a very special guest, Dr. Andrew Lin.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Veterans Corner. My name is Chuck Wooden.
Decision for ourselves for this week, if we want to be made well.
Hi, welcome to the crack of dawn. It's Dawn Lombardi. I'm starting the painting. It's going to be the clips with some water. Love it.
He took me on the sets of Lost in Space, Batman.
Everybody has a story. What's yours? Until next time.